and quite
fantastic. Right, are we all ready? Should we get started?
We ready?
Let's go.
Yeah. Let's do this.
Brilliant.
Be gentle.
I'll try to be. Hi, everyone. So thank you for joining us. My name is John Auckland, and I'm the founder of Tribe First. So I, as I was just mentioning to Andy, spend a lot of time doing training online and running webinars. And I also am one of the facilitators of Collective Impact, which is the Branson family's environmental and social impact accelerator program. And so I see a lot of startups. And so, SRSLY is one that I'm incredibly excited about. I like to eat a lot of bread. So if I can eat bread that's healthier, that's absolutely perfect to me. And a lot of other carb-based foods as well. So I'm really excited about this brand. I'm really excited to hear what they have to say today. So to elaborate, SRSLY is a company that's found the secret to eliminating empty calories and hidden sugars in food without compromising on taste. SRSLY is a leading food brand that's already empowered tens of thousands to embrace a healthy, tasty, and convenient way of eating. With over £6 million in revenue, 79% repeat orders, a national NHS contract, as well as a recently completed deal with a massive US distributor, SRSLY is poised for remarkable growth. So without further ado, let's unwrap SRSLY. Andy, I'm going to introduce you first. So okay. Prior to starting SRSLY Low Carb, you had a successful C-suite career where you excelled in building really strong teams, delivering very large, successful projects for predominantly FTSE 250 companies.
Yep, globally, yep.
Excellent. We got the right.
You got that right. Thank
that's
you.
A good start.
Good researchers.
So I understand you had a career transition where you took on an Ironman in Wales. Is that right?
That is, yeah. I'll give you the full details on that. So we'll do a few quick introductions, but yeah, I'm
fantastic.
Sure we'll cover that in a few bits.
Fantastic. And so it was during that training that you discovered the impact good nutrition can have on your performance.
Yeah.
So you wanted to take this passion for this lifestyle that you discovered and help others to achieve their fitness goals. And as it turns out, not just their fitness goals, also diet goals, where I'm hearing diabetics that have been able to eat food that they've been not able to eat.
We have been,
all of a sudden can now eat it. That's incredible.
We've been so surprised from diabetes, weight loss, epilepsy, mental health, inflammation, and what I started from endurance sport as well. There's so many bits, but I talk too much at the best of times, so I won't touch into any of those until the right questions come up, as it were.
Sounds good. Andy, introduce us to your two team members that you got sat next to you.
Yeah, I'll let them introduce themselves in a second. We've got a little wide screen lens on, which I'll pop in a second when we go through the interviews. Our commercial director is out and about doing what commercial directors should be doing, looking at all sorts of good things, which we can talk about later on. But these two guys have been instrumental, our longest serving members, shareholders as well. And don't tell them that, but they're brilliant. Anyway, I'll pass over to you guys. Just introduce yourself. The main job, not the thousands of other jobs you also do, but it's sort of the main roles that you're working on.
Hello, I'm Colette. I am Head of Product and Innovation. So that means I'm responsible for managing our existing range of products and creating our exciting range of new products.
And all the other commercial things that go with getting orders into the US, the FDA regulations, and so yeah. But thank you very much. Cool.
Hi everyone, I'm Jack. I'm Head of Operations, so I look after everything pre-sale in terms of website experience, the actual warehouse process of getting all the orders picked, packed, and out the door, and then any post-sale questions that our customers have. So the customer service side of things as well as 1,001 other things.
Fantastic. Well, great to meet you both. And so, yeah, let's crack on with the questions then, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Andy, starting with you.
Yeah.
Tell me, I've touched on this, but tell us more about your journey with SRSLY. How did it all begin?
Okay, that's a good question. So, as you know, my background, it was corporate change. So as an interim, FTSE 250 type companies, global insourcing, outsourcing, always sort of ROI to a board, bottom line, increase sales, processes, etc. And the last, and also in my kind of hobby, I was or am a dad triathlete, like a mum and dad triathlete. So I enjoy it, middle of the pack, but just that's it. Anyway, my last program, $70 million budget, 27 countries for a real estate organization, and one of the elements was the finance function. And I was commuting to Warsaw pretty much sometimes twice a week for about 6 months, and it was exhausting. I actually ended up collapsing on the plane coming back one night, and I thought maybe I need to have a break. And as an interim, for those who are listening have got an interim type consultancy life, when one 6-month or 12-month or 18-month contract comes to an end, you always look for another one. So whilst you do have some holidays, you never really have a break. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to take a break. So I thought, while taking a break, I'll try, like you said, an Ironman. I looked for one that I could get access to and it's difficult. So a top 10 one in Wales, and 140-mile race in 13 hours. And whilst I needed to look at training and sleep and stretching and exercise, one of the things that talk about continual failure was nutrition. And I knew I needed to complete it because I was taking some time off. My wife would kill me if I decided to do this thing and didn't actually complete it. So I thought, right, got to do this properly. Discovered at the time, because whilst my background has been insurance, finance, engineering, legal, real estate, military, in terms of organizations, I had no experience in the food and beverage business sort of 4 years ago. And I discovered this thing called keto that allowed me to trade for longer. And that was my driver for understanding it. And in a very brief synopsis, being at that level of keto is a low carb lifestyle, but it's also at a point where you really need to try and avoid all the carbs that are out there, which means avoiding bread, pizza, pasta, potato, and everything. So I avoided some things, couldn't stick with a salad, and I went online to the likes of Amazon to get myself some low carb or keto bread or low carb or keto pasta, for example, and couldn't really find anything that was of any good quality, really. I mean, there's pretty much nothing in the UK at the time. There were some very Germanic heavy style breads in Germany, sort of Nordic style, and there's some very sweet breads you could get from America. So just because of my nature, I carried it like a little hobby, and to see if I could commercialize it. And I did. We started working with Foster's Bakery, actually, who have been going around for many, many years, do the roles for British Airways and all sorts of things. And they had difficulty, so we moved on, but I can say the name. Anyway, back in January 2020, we managed to commercialize it, launched it. And I was thinking there'll be people like me from an endurance side wanting to try it. We were selling about 5 or 6 loaves, frozen loaves, from my freezer in my garage to begin with. And I'll never forget, it was like Tuesday, the 11th of July, halfway through COVID, when people are beginning to move away from cheese and wine every night on a Teams meeting to thinking, actually, I need to go for a walk and get healthy. And it turned, we went from 5 or 6 loaves to 130 orders in an hour, and then nothing. And I thought, well, what's happened? Is something's broken? Anyway, I had to call up customers, and it's weird calling a customer saying, why did you buy our products? But they said, well, there's this lady who's talking about you in a load of Facebook groups. Anyway, those people on the Tuesday bought again on the Thursday, and we had about 400 or 500 orders. And then by the end of the following week, we were doing 2,500 orders a week. So we were doing about 50,000 loaves a month within about 3 weeks.
Wow. So
there's not that many spike of people doing endurance, triathlons, and they're really, really passionate and really loyal, as you can see with the purchase rate. So we asked these people and said, look, just a couple of surveys, why are you buying from us? It's a weird thing to ask, and the survey that we did, we got results that said and it was a bit like a Venn diagram. 80% of our customers buy for weight loss at the time, and 50% buy for managing diabetes, maybe type 1, type 2, pre-diabetes, etc. So we realized then we'd obviously found something, and it didn't stop. So we did 1.6 million sales in our first year, 104,000 orders, and we're profitable, and it was quite amazing. But I think the thing that for me, so that's kind of how the sort of the operation began. But it was the anecdotal things that we started to hear. So the first one was, and we're doing all this on paper ingredients. We hadn't had time to even lab test at this point. And I got a call from a policeman in Jersey. And I thought, oh my God, what have we done here? I'm sure I've done something wrong. Anyway, it basically wanted a meeting with him and his wife, and we had a call. And he just wanted to say thank you. And his son, it suffers with what's called GLUT1. So he can't, and I didn't know what that even meant. Basically, you can't use glucose to transfer energy through your cell lining. You have to be in a state of ketosis. You use fats instead. And he just wanted us to send a photo and say, look, this is my son eating a burger. He's 8 years old. This is the first time in his life he's ever been able to eat a cheeseburger. And here's another picture of him eating cheese on toast. Until now, he's only been able to eat pieces of cheese. And even just saying it now, I think that's amazing. So
yeah,
that's when we realized something's there. And then we had just one other quick one, really quick, it always makes me look back, is when we had this guy, I'm sure his name was Steve, I swear it was Steve, and he turns up in our old unit, and I was putting the bins out, as you do everything as a CEO, and we'd do a collection, and he just came over and just read, I won't swear, he did swear, and he's all wearing his tool belt, you know, and in trays, and he went, "Wait, mate, brilliant." I went, "Oh, cheers, thank you." He went, "No, brilliant, look at this." And he started undoing his trousers 8:30 in the morning. It's like, "Whoa, come on." And he goes, "No, seriously, no pun." But he said, seriously, he said, "I'm on the tools all day. I can't eat a beef salad, so I ate my sandwiches. I've changed my roles for your roles, and I've lost 3 stone in 3 months. I do nothing different. I still drink alcohol. And it's all those sort of things you went, right, something's going on here." So that was kind of how it all really came about and became something that we believed that would happen. What that was, we didn't quite know yet, but that's how it kind of started.
That's amazing. I love hearing those personal stories, and yeah, quite emotional as well. So look, you managed to create a slice of bread that's just 43 calories and a piece of pizza base with more protein than steak.
Yeah.
Can you share some insights into how you've been able to achieve that and what sets your products? I mean, you mentioned that you didn't find anything else online. Has anything else come out since? Why have you been able to do this and no one else has?
Right. That's that person there you saw, Colette. That's the one you need to thank. But I'll pick it up and jump in if I get anything wrong.
Yeah.
Please do. So the way I originally looked at, we just have to remove carbs. Yeah. That was my limited understanding at the time. But probably the best way of describing it is, and we can't ask the audience or get a vote here, but have you heard of the GI index, the glycemic index?
Yeah, I know of it, yeah, but yeah, I not in any detail.
So my learning back then was white rice is worse than brown rice. You know, brown bread's better than white bread, that sort of thing. Anything that takes longer to cook and doesn't taste as good is better for you. It's sort of the mentality on it. But the research I've done, and this will explain where we've come on our products and our thinking. So the GI index is a scale from 1 to 100. And it's basically when you eat some food, how rapid is your sugar release into your bloods over about a 45-minute period, which is a sort of timing test for diabetes as well. Okay, so the worst scenario is 100. So the most, you take your food and it's lots and lots of sugar really, really quickly, and very, very healthy is down in the sort of the single figures. So if I could ask you to participate, if you don't mind, a slice of white bread on a scale of 0 to 100, where do you think that comes?
100 being
100 being the worst.
Yeah, 100's worse. Yeah. So 70, 65, 70, that sort of level.
Yeah, that sounds good. So you're kind of thinking it's not brilliant. It's actually 100. And that's not me saying that. Go and Google it. It's the worst thing you can possibly eat, or on the top line of the worst things you can possibly eat in terms of sugar release, which I'll explain in a second. Where do you think a spoonful of sugar, you good old cast of sugar?
Well, now that you said that, I think it's going to be lower than that. But so what? 89. I'm going to go
56. Okay. So and we can talk about the whole industry.
That's blown my mind. How doesn't even make any sense?
It does make sense, and I know there's been a learning curve, but it kind of links into the products in a second. And so with that, I got lost my train of thought. Sorry. With that difference on our GI index, if you look at a loaf of bread itself, yeah, it all comes from the carbs. A loaf of bread on the back of the pack, and I ask the people who are watching this to go into their cupboards, if they've got any bread in their cupboards, to look at this afterwards and look at what the sugar content is. The sugar will be anything between probably 2 to 6%. So you think, oh, that's really, really low, isn't it? But the carbohydrates will be around anything from like 46 to 56%, probably around that sort of number. Now, the carbohydrates in bread are very volatile. So if you think about your chemistry days, they're a single bond. You know, back we got 1 bond, 2 bonds, so they're a very single bond. So when you eat that piece of bread, the carbohydrate will turn into glucose, or glucose and fructose. The fructose goes into your liver and the glucose will stay in your blood. Yeah, and that's where you get the sugar spike, which is why you get so quickly. So so just pause there, bit of maths, and you're all investors potentially watching, so I'm sure you're really good at maths. So if you've got a loaf of bread that's 40 this big, yeah, and 48% is, we'll call it half is sugar, half is carbs, that half is basically going to turn into pure sugar. So when you pick up a loaf of bread, half of it will become sugar. Now, if everybody knew that, they wouldn't buy it. They'd look for an alternative, and ours is the alternative. Ours is ranges between, what is it, between 4 to 6%? Yeah, 4 to 6% carbohydrate. So that creates a complete step change in terms of the product that we actually create. But then it also, and this has been, it started coincidental, but we now use it as a key metric. If you're taking carbohydrate out of a product, you've got to replace it with something to still be a loaf that size. And when although it's really, really complicated, so Colette keeps telling me, is that you got to use proteins to bond in to make a like fluffy loaf rather than wheats and carbs and flours and sort of thing. But because you're using pea protein, bamboo protein, rice proteins, vital wheat gluten, which is the protein extract from wheat, so you haven't really got the wheat, you've got the protein itself. You end up having a product that's really, really high in protein. And where you haven't got the proteins, you're using fiber like oat fiber and bamboo fibers and all sorts of things like that, which is really healthy for you. So you end up having products that, I mean, our bread has got 22 grams of protein in per 100, which is close to a steak. Like you said, our pizza bases have got 33 grams
per 100, right?
yeah, 33 grams per 100, and a steak, according to the internet, is about 28. So that's how the creation has come about from the different things. And obviously I haven't talked about no hidden sugars that you see everywhere on labels. We just don't have the sugars in there.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. Why don't we know that? I mean, that should be taught in schools. We've got an obesity epidemic,
yeah,
right?
we do. I mean, like I say, I haven't said actually, sorry. So yeah, I did. 80% of my customers buy for weight loss, and it's one of the biggest. So weight loss and diabetes are the two costliest pandemics in Western society. It's a third. Diabetes alone is a third of the NHS budget. You know, so we can start breaking into there. We can really, really help. Sorry.
Well, that segues very nicely in what question I was going to ask, which is kind of briefly touched on that NHS England contract that you've got. Can you tell us a bit more about that? And then also there's a distributor contract, I think, with the US. Can you just give us a bit more insight into what those mean?
I need to make notes on this. I'm going to forget otherwise. Yeah. Sorry. I would say. Yeah. So the NHS one was so if I take just a little tiny step back, when we launched, everything was on B2C on our website or on Amazon. We were doing about 22% of our sales were on third-party sales channels like Amazon. Okay, and because of certain challenges in the economy, whatever you think of Brexit, it caused us an issue from selling anywhere in Europe within 2 days to taking up to a week and all sorts of problems. And the access of ingredients also caused us a bit of a challenge. So we had to pull out, or we were selling into 14 European countries, and we had to stop. We're now relaunching, which is one of our big pushes, because we've got the infrastructure set up. So we made a sort of a strategic call to say, look, we need to move elsewhere. Yeah, if we're going to grow the company at the revenue levels, the double that we want to do, and we need to look at other areas for convenience that people buy our products from. Yeah, and just to give you an idea on that one, actually, so we have about 100,000 unique customers each year. Yeah, between 90 and 100. And we have 80%, 79%, 80% of our customers buy for weight loss. Yeah. So the maths is about 79,000 of our customers each year buy for weight loss. Yeah. In the UK, and this is just the UK, about 45% of the adult population try to diet each year. Okay. And that's 29.7 million. So we do 79,000 divided by 29.7 million. That is 0.2% of the diet opportunity that we can go after. But what's really weird is when customers buy from us, they continue buying from us. We have a double industry average of repeat order rate. So it works, and that's why we're raising this funding, to make sure we're getting out there, make sure we're getting on not TV adverts, but on BBC Good Morning and all those sort of things to really drive our awareness. That's kind of the big campaign. And the two things, one is retail. So on the retail side of things, that's where we need to be. No matter what you think of retail, we need the convenience for our customers. Whilst we have got conversations with probably 5 or 6 of the major multis in the UK, including the discount ones, we got introduced to someone in America, and we wanted to focus, but it's just gone crazy. So Colette will probably tell you later on, if we get onto it, about what our next steps and things. But we got introduced to a distributor that supplies all 50 states, probably about 60-70% of the top retailers. And whilst we're talking to the likes of Kroger directly with them, because of our distribution deal that we've got our first order from Harris Teeter, which is so Kroger is the 4th largest retailer in the US and owns a lot of companies. It's got quite an acquisition strategy. And Harris Teeter is the North Carolina Kroger's almost. They've got 140 stores, $4 billion revenue, and they're trialing quite a few thousand pizzas. So we had a container that went off probably about 3-4 weeks ago. And whilst it's not a run rate business yet, we're Colette's flying out there, probably with myself, not to receive the product, but to make sure it goes as smoothly as possible. So, and they also know we're here to work with them rather than just a product on the shelf. And yeah, that's where it's going to go from. The NHS one, where do I start? In summary, when we decided to look at the retail opportunities back in September last year, we got a call from Birmingham Children's Hospital. And they said, we're recommending your products. I went, oh, this is brilliant. This is cool. Would you come and see us and see if we can help? I was like, okay, how do we help? It just means I didn't know what it meant. And basically, it was to do with their outpatients, to support them when they're a ketogenic outpatient. So firstly, we had the validation from the NHS that our products can be used for their patients. That's a pretty important thing. But it was more of a support side to begin with. So we offered a charitable discount, and now work with 2 other charities as well. We then got introduced to or called by Manchester NHS or NHS Trust there, and they've got about 90 inpatients at any one time that need to be on a low carb diet. They tried our pizzas and the bread and everything else, and that went really well. So that's happening. And then we were at the IFE International Food Exhibition, just to make sure people are aware of us. And we had NHS Supply Direct come up to us. So they're like the central buying team. So they do, I don't know, syringes, masks, beds, whatever. They do everything. But obviously the food team came up to us, and I noticed the badge, and I came running over. Like, hi, let me jump in here and try and make sure we're talking about it. And I explained to them, and they went, yes, we already know, which is why we come to see you.
Oh, wow.
So I said, how quick, how quick can we do this? I'm aware it could take a while. And they went, as soon as you can finish application, you're in. So I thought, yep, no worries. So that started in March. We signed a 278-page contract in May, and that is just the beginning. Now to go on to the next stage, which is also for the investment, and this is a lower investment, slow burn, is that we've been invited because the catering teams, so the nutritionists know, but the catering teams don't necessarily know about low carb availability, and they have to request it. So we've got a big roadshow going to the different trusts, supported by the account managers, to do the north and then do the south, and then they'll create a tender, and we'll be the only one that can answer the tender, and so that should then generate quite an opportunity. There's also a program called Aviva, and Aviva is a low carb program. So because of the growth in diabetes, there's a big pharma that supports the NHS, and Aviva is about learning about being type 2 diabetic, and how to what blood sugars mean, and how to control them, and how to monitor them, and those sort of effects. And it's a 3-month course, and we've got customers that are saying to us, they did it, and it's all liquid lunches and things, and at the end of that, where do they go? And he goes, and they're just seeing their blood sugars start to go up until they find us and they start getting control of it. So we can strategically align ourselves with that. We could then be the next stage for helping people leaving the Aviva program on the understanding, the learning, and then we're just the BAU product for them. So the NHS opportunity is crazy big.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that. So, you touched on the US opportunity. What are your global expansion plans? How do you intend to tackle different global markets?
How do we extend? Right. I'm trying to think the different ways we're doing it. So we're really good. Well, we're really good in terms of the B2C side of things. We've got a business operating model, and as soon as you get a sale, it pays for itself. You get the money before you even have to order the products in a lot of cases. So it's a model that works, and we want to grow the business on that. But there's logistical challenges. So we've been working on the European side, and because of the US retail opportunity that's landed on us, it makes sense to try and capitalize on that. So we have a container with 3/4 full, then we top it up with some consumer stuff. So we've got a similar kind of logistical arm that we've got here to send products out in the US. So we could then launch our US website, or just basically turn it on, but also start feeding the Amazon stores or warehouses, etc. So that's kind of an angle we're looking at, because we have to be really careful in terms of, I don't know, cash flow, and there's not many of us doing it. We have to be really, really, really focused on what we do, and it has to give a return. I'll come into that maybe later, but one of the other things is, how can we make it easier to sell? So our products, our breads and the like, had a 10-day shelf life. It's now moving to 14 and 21 days. So our cleaner ingredient and cleaner, better preservatives that Colette again has been working on with the team. So that's going to help in terms of our logistics. So we can sell anywhere in Europe from this store. Even if it takes 5 days to get there, it's still going to give customers 6-7 days bread shelf life. So which is now less customer service tickets, etc. But the big one is, and I almost don't want to say this, actually I'm not going to tell you what it is. You can ask later on if you do ask, and if you don't ask, we'll make sure you tell you. But it's the ambient ingredients. So, for example, rather than selling a product from our warehouse here when it comes in, so we have daily shipments or twice weekly shipments, etc. We can send off a pallet of our jam, and when it lands in a warehouse in France, it automatically has a little prime label. It's managed by Amazon, and we don't have to have any further efforts on it. But also, if it doesn't sell all of it by the end of Friday, which we have for bread, it's not a problem because it's got 12 months shelf life. So we're actively looking for the biggest bang for buck on ambient offerings. So if you think about apart from bread, what is the biggest ambient product that you eat that is high in carbs, we may have it just down there. I will show you in a sec.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you, how do you stay ahead? the health food market is constantly evolving.
Yeah.
How are you going to stay ahead, both in terms of products and both in terms of your approach to the market?
So have you heard, and this is kind of a question to the people I can't see on the webinar as well, HFSS, high fat, salts and sugars. It's a compliant C requirement that has been created by the government, and you can't put products on point of sale in a retail unless they're HFS compliant. So they're not high in fat, salts or sugars, which is great. It's a step in the right direction. But we had a conversation a minute ago about bread, and some bread has 2% sugar, 1% sugar. It's got not really any salt in. It's got no fats in. So you can put it on the point of sale, and everybody comes along and eats it and becomes type 2 diabetic or starts putting on weight. And that's a bit of a generalization. So the driver for the large industry, and I was at an event, and we had people from government there, we had doctors, we had major companies there, and I won't say the pizza company, but they stood up and they were really, really proud of their new pizza that's HFSS compliant. And so, okay, so let's have a look at the back of that. 50% carbs. Okay, so it's not got the salts and fats, etc., but half of it is going to turn to sugar when you eat it, and diabetics can't eat it. It's a demonstration of how much hidden sugars in there. So in terms of staying ahead of the game against the big industry, I think we've got a good 4 or 5 years, and hopefully by that time we'll be at a point where it's easier to be acquired than to be challenged, because we've got not only the product, we'll have a customer base and everything else, which we're growing rapidly. In terms of the competitors for the smaller ones, there's 2 things I'd say. One is our scalability. So I haven't come up with an idea of a snack bar and wanting to grow it and learning that journey. I've come from a corporate world where you've got to make things scale straight away. You have to make it work. You can't go, oh, that worked that week, what are we doing next week? So we've already can make 1 million units for pretty much every product per week. With the manufacturing agreements, the IP agreements the NDA agreements in place, we can dispatch probably 4 times as many orders in our existing warehouse without strain. We need more people to pack the boxes, but the actual infrastructure is already there. So we're ahead of it in that regard. And probably the final thing, which I still don't know, and I'd happily ask for this comment on the Q&A to everybody out there, is we're a portfolio company. So there are not many companies out there that actually offer the solution, the wrong word there, careful, an answer across a wider selected category. So up in the morning, I have toast or whatever, I'm having pizza, or I'm having pasta, or I'm having a snack, or I'm out having a sandwich. Where do I go? SRSLY brand. I know it's going to not pump my sugars, and I have it during the rest of my time, and I know it works for me. Most of the small brands are either a this or a that or a that or a that, or the small companies that are there have not got, and I know the owners and things, because it's a small world, have not got the infrastructure, the maturity of the team to stay ahead of the game, really. So they're my sort of confident things, and we've seen that, even through the struggling times that we had as well. Does that answer the question?
It really does, yeah, very well, very well. And you talked about it being challenging times. What's been your biggest challenge so far in the SRSLY journey?
So I'll go on mute for a bit. Hang on a second. If you mean what COVID or Brexit products in, or products ingredients out, or massive inflation, or the global economic strife and the wars, or cost of living, or cost of energy, it's been absolutely fine. It's the best time to start a business. It really is. So we had to put our prices up. We didn't want to. My dream is to, and I'm not going to give you the number on this just in case there's any competitors listening, and I don't want to say it, but there is a price point that we want to get our products to through economies of scale, that will just tip us over the edge from a premium price product to it's a better product, but it's a daily product that pretty much 60-70% of the population would just go, oh, I'll just take that instead. Yeah. So we will get there. Hang on a second, my brain's just gone. What was your question again? Sorry.
Your biggest challenge.
Yeah. So okay. Yeah. So putting the prices up. So we have constantly had to adjust, reorganize our business. So my background, if you think about it, is insourcing or outsourcing or regionalization across countries and that sort of thing. You've got to get the processes right, you've got to get the infrastructure right, the IT right, and it's got to work, and the policies and everything else that go around it, and the buy-in and But ultimately, it's effectiveness and efficiency, and we've had to become more and more and more efficient it feels like every day, to keep ahead of it. So whatever the inflation rate is, or has been, I think it's about 9.99, but what it has been over the years, our average total rise in cost across all our products, I think, is like 3.1 or 3.6%?
3.1.
About 3.1. I heard the whisper, that was Jack. It's 3.1%. So we've managed to restructure, maintain pretty reasonable margins, and work on, because we're growing the economies of scale ingredients, but rather than getting a massive saving in ingredients because of the quantities we're buying, it's kind of almost staying the same, rather than going up, which we've had ingredients go up 300%. So that's been our biggest challenge as an operation. The other bit is, as we've grown, cash flow. So our burn rate, and I'll be completely honest, and people couldn't see the accounts or whatever, our burn rate into this year has been, for the first quarter, about £11,000 a month, and that had to be audited by Cedars for us allowed to go and do this. Since then, Jack's introduced the a complete refresh renewal on our packaging, so that's saving us about 2,800. With our shelf life, we are managing to remove one of our delivery slots, which is only £550 for a lot of stuff per week. We have a couple of them, so that's another 2.5 grand. We have got some debt, which is all on Cedars, which we are refinancing to bring that cost down. So our burn rate has already gone. So you'll see that in this quarter. But I'd much rather be talking to an NHS trust about the opportunity of really helping, but also really growing the business. And sometimes you spend too long just on another zero profit and loss structure meeting, etc., just to really make sure we're on top of it. And you have to do that, but that's why we want the investment to grow to just a little bit, to allow us to focus where we all need to focus. And it is just a constant challenge. I guess it is for all startups, though.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's, we talk about it being a glass ceiling, don't we? And I think if you're in a position where you're going to be break even coming into the point where you've received investment, that's a positive thing for investors to know that their money is going purely on growth, not just.
Did you hear that, guys? Did you hear that, everyone?
This has been fantastic. We've a few questions have trickled in. Please do remember, if you have any questions, pop them in the Q&A now. I've got one final question before we move on to the open Q&A session.
Okay.
Andy, looking forward to the future, I just want to understand what excites you the most about SRSLY's future. What goals and aspirations do you have for the company in the coming years? What's the vision? What does success look like?
So, okay, I'm just trying to think the right wording for it. Every time we have a conversation about something, we seem to, it's like a can of worms in terms of an opportunity. So the NHS one was just actually helping out. Then it became having to sit down with the internal catering managers to provide bread, in the hospital beds. That's crazy. And then from that, you get the Aviva piece and potentially working with them, and it never ends. So the more we learn, the more opportunities that we see, and therefore, and I don't know why, maybe it's our structure or our brand or the way we work, we are really focused on doing the right thing. We won't launch a product unless it really, really works. And when you see things on our website saying, I can trust this brand, because when they bring out something else, I know it won't affect my bloods. That's really powerful. And then you get things such as customers. We do a collection, and one of the charities, the Daisy Garden Trust for children with drug-resistant epilepsy. So you send low carb, you potentially have less seizures. I got introduced to her by the customer service person. Said, "Oh, Andy, this lady's from Daisy Garden." I went, "Oh, that's lovely." And I said, "Oh, we also have people who buy our products for diabetes." She went, "No, my daughter has unfortunately drug-resistant epilepsy. I'm type 1 diabetic, and my husband buys your products to lose weight, and my mum is also buying your products to lose weight now as well." And you think, my God, the opportunity. So we can get the price point down to, call it ubiquitous commodity almost, and you see, and if we can get imagine getting the labeling right, where you pick up a loaf of bread and it says 50% of this bread will turn into your sugars into your stomach for, let's say, whatever pounds, and this one here called SRSLY for a little bit more just doesn't have that. The customer doesn't need to be educated. They go, "Why don't you go for that one then? It tastes the same." So the opportunity for growth is just phenomenal, and we need to be careful how we grow there, but we can really, really grow. But also the opportunity to help people. We just love it. It's weird. It's just and there's some people nodding away here. It's just really lovely. And so we want to be the consumer brand, the trusted consumer brand of choice for healthy food. And that's it. So whether it's on a financial growth or whether it's generally helping people, that's our mission.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I think I didn't really know about your brand until a couple of months ago. Hopefully this is what the crowdfunding experience is going to do on a much bigger scale, where more people will discover you. But I recommended it immediately to my friend. That's his 8-year-old boy's got type 1 diabetes, and he's eating stuff he couldn't eat before. So that impact is real.
Yeah,
definitely. And I can vouch for it. Excellent. Right, let's go on to the open Q&A.
Okay.
So you touched on this earlier, Andy. Ian Rush has asked the question: who does SRSLY see as their main competitors in this market, and what do they see as making SRSLY stand out against those competitors? We talked about it, but surely other competitors have come into this market since. Who are they, and what are they doing?
Yeah. Do you want to name them?
I won't name them, but I can answer the question. So
yeah,
I would say the thing that really sets us apart from other people in the market is it echoes what Andy said earlier. So there are other brands out there that will sell low carb bread or low carb pizza bases or low carb wraps, but they very much focus on one product. Where we've been able to kind of diversify our portfolio, which is a very difficult thing to do, which is the reason why not everyone's doing it. That really sets us apart from the competitors in that space. Not only that, I think because we were one of the first products to market in that health food section, our brand loyalty and our repeat purchase rate and the relationship we've had with our customers has really catapulted us forward. We have so many customers that almost regardless of the products, like Andy was saying earlier, we're getting to the stage now where regardless of what products we release, they almost will buy them without having to check the nutritions, because they've been with us for so long. They just trust us. They trust that they can consume them. They trust that it's not going to affect their blood sugars too badly. So the things that are separating us, to summarize, the fact that we are on the journey and we're quite a way in the journey of people being able to do their whole weekly shop with us and get that healthy food, and the fact that we have such a strong brand following, and that's all thanks to our customers.
Also, just to add to that, we will not launch a product unless it mimics or is better than the high carb version. So I won't sign off a product unless it tastes more or less what people are used to eating or better from taste, texture, appearance point of view. So that sets us apart as well.
Yeah, cool.
So sticking with this sort of theme of competitors, Susan has asked: there are way more keto-friendly products in America. Are you planning to look to increase your options? I assume in America and in the UK.
Yeah, so we've got the voice, not the face. So we've got let me take a step back. When we went out and got invited to speak to GFI, the distributor, and we got pretty challenged, didn't we? I mean, they gave us 20 minutes to present everything in their kitchens, cook everything. It was they I don't know, they're having a bad day, but they were so impressed with our products that they called us back and they want to move forward, and this is where we got to. We thought, all the market research that we did, that pizza would be the one. Yeah, because you Google low carb pizza, you can't find or keto pizzas, you can't really find anything of any quality at all. They've got a lot of cauliflower bases in America, but that's really high in carbs, so it doesn't help on the diabetic side of things. It's just a healthier crust. But what Melvin, the head honcho at GFI, was so surprised about is because we had loads of stuff with us. We had everything from pre-made sandwiches to rolls to whatever. He said he's never seen the office just completely take it, not just take a sandwich, but then take the loaf home for their family.
Yeah.
And on our research, the bread is very cakey. It's quite thick and dense and a bit like a sponge in America. So there's quite a few products out there. So whilst we didn't think bread would have any chance, because there are 4 or 5 breads out there, we're quite confident we will get back in there. There's a few other things that have happened as well. So GFI were doing $6 million a year to one of their retailers for Genius bread. I can say this out loud. Genius have pulled out the US. And we've sat down with the the retailer that has now got a gap in the market. And what was really weird, because Genius bread, if you don't know, is gluten-free, is they went, right, I've heard all about this. Been told to, Melvin said, come and have a look at it. And they looked at it and went, right, yeah, looks good. Love the packaging, love the brand. Yeah, I reckon we can make this work. And said, is it gluten-free? No, because it doesn't really matter. Just needs to be healthy. I mean, this gluten thing's all their words, not mine. All that rubbish. No, we just need healthy bread. So tell me, why is it healthy? You know, protein, fiber. Yeah, this is good. This is good. So we will expand out there. Our entrees, as they call them, which is basically the ready meals. We've got one retailer that likes those and the jams. So yeah, but we have to be really careful in terms of where we put our efforts, really, don't we? Because that was our learning for last year. We're spreading ourselves a bit too thin.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I mean, I've got some very specific product questions. You may not want to answer them, but I'll ask them anyway. So Murray Ross Eskel asks, are you looking at bagels?
We have thought about bagels, and it's definitely an option.
Must be good for the US market, right?
Yeah, for sure. Not one we're working on right now, but it is an option. We are able to manufacture bagels.
Yeah, so we can, our current baker can make I'd say, not from our product, but like a subpar bagel, because you need to cook bagel in water before you put it in the oven, to make it that proper.
Yeah, because it kind of comes denser, doesn't it?
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier on, for the explosive growth that we think we can get, whilst the bagels actually we'll probably have to put in matte packaging and get like a 90-day shelf life potential on them. It's our other products that we're looking at. In fact, this is a good segue. Can we do it now? I'm going to do it now. Yeah. So this is the weirdest shape that the kitchen had rather than production line. So excuse the shape, but basically what you can see there is our pasta, and it's amazing. It's cooked in about 3 minutes. It's really, it's just amazing. It's gluten-free, vegan, low carb, high protein, and a 12-month shelf life. And we're already talking to 2 investors in Hong Kong, because you can turn that into noodles quite quickly as well. So
amazing. And it's gluten-free as well, you just said.
Gluten-free as well. Vegan, awesome. Yeah.
That's
full
amazing.
of love. So sorry, no bagels yet, but on the way at some point.
Susan, it's not a question, it's definitely a statement. Pasta, yeah. So I think you've got a fan. Stephen Jennings, breakfast cereal. Are you looking at breakfast cereal? Seems like a good opportunity with high protein, low carb cereal.
Do you want to talk about the porridge and the amount of cash to put up front?
Yeah, so things of breakfast nature, such as porridge, breakfast cereals, they have really high MOQs. And so we tested the market with porridge, and it did fairly well, sort of in the first 2 years of trading. But we just weren't shifting the volume fast enough to get through the stock. So we made a decision that at that point in time is not quite the right focus area for us. It's also an extremely saturated market. So it's quite competitive, especially getting into retail. So never say never, but we'd need to have quite a unique sort of USP and be confident that we're going to shift the volume.
It strikes me a little bit as, you know, you've done a lot of work into these products, and even some of these products that you know, haven't necessarily launched first time. That's a portfolio of stuff that, as the brand grows, the customer base grows, the awareness around this product, right? This is the big thing, right? The awareness of, I didn't know that, and I thought I was pretty informed about the whole GI index and what that actually means. So you know, presumably you have plans for helping to educate that. I mean, that's one of the questions here. What are your plans for the UK market with this funding? You know, what are you doing there with that money? What's your plans for the investment?
So we have many plans, but let me just try and sort of focus on 2 key areas. Okay, so one, and part of the reason for our new commercial director with his contacts, etc., on board, we need to get the awareness out. Really, that's the real critical, the education piece of it, because the government, from HFSS, the stores, they're not doing it. Okay, and there's a lot of free publicity. So this year alone, without spending more than probably about £500, we've got into 130 different publications across about 35 magazines, digital magazines like The Grocer, etc. Okay, so industry awareness is growing, and we will continue to do that. But there are other better ways of doing that as well. So, you know, daytime TV, Good Morning Brit, whatever those are, and we've got some good routes to start doing that, because that education piece. And we could do something as silly as or as fun or as crazy as go on Dragon's Den, you know, and just get 5 million to see us and probably get 20,000 orders the next day and do it that way, yeah, without actually agreeing to anything. Do it as a publicity exercise that other brands do. But we need to do something, and it's not good. That isn't where necessarily our funding's going, but that is one of our key focus areas. We are not going to be spending £50,000 on a PR agency to go and do it. We are not that type of company. I have a bit of an adverse reaction to agencies, unfortunately. But the other bit where we can see some really good growth, and I did an update the other day, is on our consumer side. We're good at consumer. Okay, we've got a profitable revenue line, the whole operation. We're coming up to our busiest period in January, but on, for example, Google digital advertising, we're getting between a 11.1 and 25.5 ROAS, which means for every pound you put in, you get £25 worth of sales back. Some of those customers are repeat customers. Some of them would have bought anyway without the advert. I have to accept that. It's all part of the planning. But if you were able to unlimitedly scale that, which I know you can't, then rather than put a pound in, and we're putting like 1,000 or 2,000 in, so we're getting 25 to 50k back. Well, can we put a bit more in? Now, as we put more in, the ROAS will come down, but we only really need a ROAS of 6, if anybody is wondering, to make a profit. Okay, so because we've got a low price margin, low price product, it's not a 3-to-1 margin. It's not like selling a Rolex or whatever. We have to get to about 6 to make a profit. We're at 25 at the moment, so we can pump in digital marketing to grow, but it will come down. But that's a key area. Plus staff. I know we're short on time. We need a couple of people just to help these 2 guys facilitate what they're really good at and give them support they need. So not really expensive roles or anything, but just enough to allow us to accelerate, because we've got some amazing digital sales channels that we need to exploit and get ready before January.
I missed it. Tours said your porridge was the best one out there. Sorry, I can't get it. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, as you say, we're running out of time. There's two questions I still want to ask though, because one has been asked by both Susan and Murray, which is, what retail stores are you talking to? Susan says, are there stores in Scotland like Asda, Lidl, Aldi, Scotmid? Murray says, are you speaking with major supermarkets like Sainsbury's? I think the general consensus here is that people want to be able to build purchasing into their daily shops, right, rather than having to go online. So when is that going to happen?
So can you give me access to screen share? I can't share my screen.
Yeah.
I just want to show you one thing really, really quickly. So it's just one slide, but I can talk to it and give you an idea.
Yeah, you should be host now.
Yeah, okay, hold on. Let's just do that one. Can you see just that?
Yeah, it's getting there. Hang on. Okay, we're there.
Not sure. Yeah?
Yeah.
So those red dots, this was just a pull from our dispatch database of postcodes and then just put into a mapping tool. And those red dots are basically a 4-week cycle of customers, okay? Right down into Jersey, further down here, Isle of Man, just everywhere. And when you zoom in, let's say around London, you've got about, God knows how many customers in total, probably 40,000 customers that buy over a sequence period. And the little blue markers are where, I think this one was for Co-op, actually. I'm not going to hide anything. But if there's a Co-op, there's every other one. There's a Lidl, there's an Aldi, there's a Sainsbury's, there's a Tesco's, there's a Asda, etc., etc. So wherever there is a, maybe up here though, weird. Wherever there is a shop, there are thousands of customers that are regularly buying. And our customers pay £5-6 for delivery. And if they could avoid paying that £5-6 and make it easy, then that's great. Retailers, though, are hesitant on picking up these products for a couple of reasons. The first reason, I'm just going to stop sharing that. The first reason is because the uncertainty. So whilst we have a 79% repeat order rate, etc., if you give a product that has a long shelf life, like the pasta, they'll take it on board, and we're quite confident we're going to win with that, and they'll see the change, and they'll start bringing in our other categories. But if you offer them bread, which at the time has a 10-11 day shelf life, and they buy it and it goes off, they have to dispose a lot of bread. Now it won't go, because what we also do is we're working with about 40 smaller convenience stores across London through one of our distributors, and when they take a product, we email the customers within a 5-kilometre radius that are bought from us that are close to that consumer or that store. So the data we've got encourages that buying. So if there are any investors there that want to invest, and I hope you all do, but also have contacts in these industries that can help accelerate this, then the phone is available. Please give us a call. In terms of who we're talking to, all the discounters, all the premium retailers, including the specialist London ones, and the top 3 multis as well. So the names you've already said, pretty much of all of them. I'll give you one quick snippet though. Healthy bread is in decline. Yeah, that's what Mintel says. But our product isn't. But it's not. Our product isn't healthy bread, because the healthy bread in their mindset is the stuff that tastes like leather. Yeah. So how do you convince a buyer who's got 10 seconds to talk to you about the story of GI index and convince them that your customers will understand it as well? So it's a challenge, and we will succeed. And I think this crowdfunding is going to really help, but the publications are going to help. Other retailers in America is going to help. So we will get there, and we're not going to give up, guys. But this is what we're here for. Brilliant.
Thank you so much. This has been insightful. You've blown my mind with some of the facts, and I'm sure you would have done with some of the investors as well. For the investors watching, if you haven't seen the campaign, it is live on Seedrs at the moment with 9 days left to go. 122% overfunded. There is still room for investors to get involved now. Plenty of room for you to come in and invest at what is, I think, quite an instrumental sort of time in your journey, where you're at this inflection point. I mean, the US thing could be huge. The NHS thing could be huge. So, I don't anticipate your valuation staying at that level for very much longer. So, Yeah, obviously investors do be invest aware and learn about the risks of investing at this stage. I have to say that, of course, but I have invested myself, if that's an endorsement.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
I have done, yeah. Yeah, look forward to joining you on your journey. So thank you everyone for participating in this webinar, and thank you to Andy, Colette and Jack for informing us much more about SRSLY.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.